nights at 8 p.m. and now live sports trivia courtesy of the Knoxville Trivia Guys every Thursday night upstairs. The game starts at 7 p.m. and is free to play for everyone, so head on down to the Old City and show off your sports knowledge and win gift cards to Barley's. Use those gift cards to buy some delicious food and drinks, and you can take it all in with their wide selection of TVs and indoor projectors. Barley's Tap Room and Pizzeria.
What are you going to do with your old car? You can try selling it, you could junk it, or you can donate it to Heritage for the Blind. Your car will be towed away for free, and your donation is tax deductible. Just call 1-800-639-8620. Heritage for the Blind accepts cars, vans, trucks, and boats. It doesn't matter if your vehicle runs or not. It'll be towed away for free, and you'll be supporting those that need help. Heritage for the Blind is a nonprofit organization that helps the visually impaired live fuller lives. Call right now to donate your car. And as a special thank you for calling, you'll receive a free 3-day vacation voucher to many exciting locations. Call Heritage for the Blind right now. Call 1-800-639-8620. Donating is easy, and your vehicle is towed away for free. Plus, you'll get a free vacation voucher. Call now, 1-800-639-8620. That's 1-800-639-8620.
Believe in family. Believe in your fellow man. Believe in honesty and an honest day's work. We do. We're Farm Bureau Insurance. And we don't just believe in Tennessee. We believe in Tennesseans. Farm Bureau Insurance, Tennessee's insurance company.
This is Baseball VFL Cody Brown. Farm Bureau Insurance is the official insurance for Tennesseans. Believe in me for all of your insurance needs. Give me a call at 865-992-3871.
In a world filled with deadlines and screens, sometimes we forget the simple joys of life, days filled with special moments. At Inward Half, we understand the essence of these moments. Feel the difference between our breathable fabrics and flexible apparel as you disconnect from the hustle and bustle and reconnect with what truly matters. Inward Half, simple luxury for on and off the course.
It's the Chase! It's the Chase! Live 1 to 3, Monday through Friday on Fan Run Radio, Fox Sports Knoxville. Listen to Chase and his friends on WKGN. It's the Chase! It's the Scruffy City! Listen to his friends, and his friends are on WKGN. I'm always taking your calls on the Tennessee Vols. It's the Chase! It's the Chase! It's the Chase!
All right, the Chase is on Knoxville. My name is Chase Thomas, joined alongside Ryan Sylvia of Rocky Top Insider on a rainy Tuesday afternoon here in Knoxville, Tennessee. Ryan, good afternoon, my friend. How are you?
I'm doing good. Got back from what should be the last open practice for Tennessee football before the season gets going. So our last kind of inside look at the team. We'll still have the press conferences and stuff like that as things march on. But it was good to be back in the facility today as we're getting real close to kickoff. It's kind of sneaking up real fast how close kickoff is.
We're, 18 days away from kickoff, and it could not get here fast enough. And one of the more unfortunate side effects of practice now being concluded for media, Ryan Sylvia, is that I don't get any more Rick Butler RTI B-roll video with my favorite royalty-free music for the rest of the offseason.
I heard you're very upset about the change of music on the RTI YouTube page.
This week was, and I noticed this morning, it was the same royalty-free sound from yesterday. I don't know who Rick Butler thinks he is to be making these sort of changes as a longtime fan and stan of those videos, but I don't appreciate it. I don't know if we need to get him on the program to talk about this, but these are one of those things where it is a absolute banger that I do love listening to while I'm getting geared up, and it fires me up in the morning as I'm getting my coffee, getting my work done, planning out our show right here, and feel it's great. Like, don't mess with what works, Ryan Sylvia.
Well, you're gonna have to get on the RTI YouTube page, and you're going to have to come to the defense of Rick Butler, because there have been a good number of people recently in the comments that have been saying, got to mix it up, got to change it, got to do this and that. And Rick caved. And, you know, I don't blame him, but I'm glad that he went back to his morals and decided that whatever royalty-free music that he's been using for a while, that we got to go back to that. I think he does a great job, though, of mixing in the music. You know, got to put the music over top, but also keeping a little bit of noise. You hear a whistle here and there. You get kind of the ambient noise. It makes you feel like you're at practice. I like the sound mixing he's doing on this.
Yeah, I mean, there's some directorial future there. Sicario 3, is that Rick Butler's job to lose?
Yeah, I guess so. But he was good talk today too, because we got some, you know, Goblin versus Orkin today with Shumpert too. So
you're all in on this, man. And like the good folks know, Sylvia comes out of nowhere and he gets me with these text blitzes during these shows sometimes, and I'm like, Sylvia is just out of nowhere. Sylvia is like, I won't hear from Sylvia for a little bit, and then Sylvia just jam-packed. It's like you never know he's lying in the weeds. Like you never know when Ryan Sylvia is listening, reading, doing whatever. He's always on the periphery.
I try to catch the chase when I can.
Yeah.
So I like to have it on, especially when it's, you know, you get Jack Foster on the show. Am I supposed to not watch? Like, come on, that's appointment radio is when Jack Foster is on the channel.
100%. And you'll get him Friday, and he's back every Friday on remote location. So you get the Avenged Sevenfold in the background and everything else. I love Jack Foster is awesome, but he also has like the metal part of Jack Foster. I don't know what he loves more, covering ball, Tennessee baseball, or going to metal concerts. Like Jack Foster is a legitimate metal guy.
Well, that's why he's a goblin. At the end of the day, is the name Jack Foster Goblin, the guy Jack Foster Goblin. He's a goblin through and through. But no, Jack is a hilarious guy to be around, especially the music taste is when you're at a baseball game with him and you know, Aaron Combs comes out of the bullpen or some of these relievers that have these metal walk-up songs, things like he is on top of this every single time. He's like, that's this song by this guy. It's fantastic. That's great. And I'm like, if whatever you say, Jack, sure thing.
That's funny. Well, don't forget, folks, you can listen to The Chase right here on Fan Run Sports Radio, Fox Sports Knoxville, 105.7 FM, 1340 AM, and always streaming for free on that Fan Run Radio app. Monday through Friday from 1 to 3 Eastern Time. You can also watch us. We're streaming live on the Fan Run Sports YouTube channel as we continue to grow that channel, live stream for all of our shows Monday through Friday, 13 hours of Tennessee local content. So make sure you hit that thumbs up and subscribe if you're watching us on YouTube, X, or Facebook. We're streaming there as well. So all kinds of different ways you can be involved with the show. You can also call and text us over the next 2 hours. You can call and text at 865-966-3435 is the way to be a part of the show here on this Ryan Sylvia of Rocky Top Insider Tuesday. And a jam-packed show for you guys. We're going to talk about Tennessee fall camp updates. 2 key guys back practicing here today for Tennessee, for the media, before things go dark for Tennessee media over the next 2 weeks. We're going to talk about the offensive line, new starters, what to make of trying to find Glenn Ellerby's best 5 for this fall. We'll talk to Tyler Rowland of Locked On Titans to talk about Cam Ward's preseason debut. Titans and Falcons scrimmaging together, practicing together down there in my old stomping grounds of Flowery Branch, Georgia. So we'll talk about what's going on there for the Titans as they go into their second preseason game. We'll talk to Richie Randall of BuzzBeat to talk about Grant Williams and how he's fit in Charlotte, what to make of the failed Dalton Connect trade that would have sent Dalton Connect to Charlotte, what feels like forever ago, but would have been, I think, a great move for Dalton Connect and would have been a better opportunity for him to maybe get more of a role and also play with the VFL and Grant Williams, and for a lot of ball fans to be able to go watch him in person a whole lot more. But we'll pick his brain on the Charlotte Hornets and all that. We'll check in with G6 Garrett as we continue on his preview series this summer. Buffalo is up this week, so we'll talk to G6 Garrett about the Buffalo Bulls. We'll talk about Saturday Down South's Connor O'Gara, who picked Georgia to go 11-1 with the only loss to Florida. And we'll talk about what he wrote about Tennessee, Georgia, and what his expectations are when the Dogs travel to Neyland here in week 3. We'll wrap up with Ryan Sylvia's takes on Lady Vols backcourt in 2025 and 2026. Will it end up being better than what we saw last year in Kim Caldwell's second season on Rocky Top? So we got a jam-packed show for you guys here today. Appreciate you guys sticking with us right here on The Chase. But as we kick things off here, Ryan Sylvia, what was your takeaway for your last visual of Tennessee fall camp? What did you see today? What did you hear from Darrell Sims, who spoke to the media, that excited you? And why is it that he referred to, I believe, Peyton Lewis as a Greek god?
Yeah. I mean, you look at Peyton Lewis, you take one quick look at him, and he does not look like a running back. He looks like a a defensive end or something. Like, he is massive, and to be able to run the ball how well he does in terms of agility, speed, and all those different types of things with his light feet combined with the strength he has, it's extremely impressive. And I think to start with Darrell Sims, when he was talking about Peyton Lewis, he talked about how he's kind of just bouncing off or having defensive tackles bounce off of him, which is really impressive. To be, a sophomore running back and having these 300-pound linemen just, falling off of you as you go past the line of scrimmage. So in terms of Darrell Sims, I thought, what he said about Peyton Lewis and really all the backs was, exactly what you want to hear. Talked a little bit about kind of, I guess, his theories behind the rotations, because it's only been one season with Darrell Sims, and we're used to the Jerry Mack rotations where it was those three-headed monsters in 2023. And then even in 2022, you had multiple guys getting in the mix, compared to last year where Dylan Sampson was just the bell cow and there wasn't much behind him. Like Deshaun Bishop got some run here and there and things like that, but it was really just Dylan Sampson all game. He said, you didn't want to commit either way. It felt like you didn't want to say this is going to be a true three-man rotation or this is going to be similar to last year, but it's more of just a game-by-game basis and who's got the hot hand and what you want to do. So I kind of anticipate probably a middle ground. I don't think it'll be 33, 33, 33 split between those three guys, but I also can't imagine it's what felt like 80 to 90, if not more, % of the snaps from one guy like it was a year ago. So I just thought that, rotation talk was a bit interesting. In terms of the actual practice today, I spent most of the time with the defense. Quarterbacks didn't throw routes on air today like they have in the past few, but you still got, I think, a good look at what the team has for, I guess, the last time in person. You had some notable injury news. Josh Josephs is back. Boo Carter's still doing pretty much everything. I thought it was one of the better practices from Boo just in that short time we got to see. He looked like the athletic guy he is that can play multiple positions and all those different things, but he seemed pretty engaged. Not that he was disengaged at any of the other practices, but it just felt like he was maybe more engaged today than he has been in some of the past ones, which is obviously a great sign. Mike Matthews in a red non-contact jersey. Chris Brazel still working his way back. Overall, he's still missing some pieces like a Braylon Staley, but felt like the health was there for the most part. And there's a handful of guys, too, that whether they're in red jerseys or yellow jerseys, Tennessee's playing Syracuse tomorrow, they'd be good to go. You're just being precautious because you can. So overall, I guess, nothing groundbreaking at practice today. Didn't see anything that makes you change your mind on what we've already thought for the last month or so, but still a good time to be in there and get a look at the team.
Yeah, and I think it seems like a lot of people are going to look at the Star Thomas development and his good fall camp of like, oh, here's more evidence. It's going to be more of the trio we saw with Small, Sampson, and Wright. I still tend to lean, especially with how glowingly he's talked about Peyton Lewis and how good of a camp Deshaun Bishop has had, and just honestly how great of an offseason he had. Like, he's completely shredded, looks the part, had played a lot last year, and I think he would have even played even more if he was able to stay healthy. My gut, Sylvia, is that Star is your guy, whoever's banged up, right? Where Peyton Lewis and Deshaun Bishop, probably just because of the nature of what Tennessee is going to be doing this fall, where the receivers, I'm a little bit worried about where we're at receiver. I'm really worried about where we're going to be at with the explosive plays in the passing game. They're going to run the football a whole heck of a lot of bunch. And when you run the ball the way Tennessee does, a bunch of inside to them, these guys are going to get banged up. Like Deshaun Bishop and Peyton Lewis are going to take a lot of shots that I think Star Thomas is the one who you feel really comfortable being able to slide him in when Peyton Lewis or Deshaun Bishop are banged up, right? Like, I think you're going to have those two be your primary guys. And then Star is waiting in the wings if one of those guys go down or one of those guys are banged up in the game where it's like, hey, we need to conserve them like for the second half, this and the other. Like they've gone through a lot, because I just think Tennessee's going to run the whole heck of the ball, like a whole heck of a lot this fall with where they are at. And we're going to see a bunch of 12 personnel. And when you're running the ball a bunch, like you can't have a bell cow back and survive an SEC play when you're doing. I mean, you saw it. Dylan Sampson finally broke down in the end of the Vanderbilt game and wasn't right for Ohio State. So he was a unique unicorn in a lot of ways last year for Tennessee. But I do think it's a great problem to have where we wonder about the depth at wide receiver. We wonder about the depth in some other spots of this team. One area that I don't, and you could tell Darrell's excited about it, is Tennessee's going to be just fine in a post Dylan Sampson world.
I think so, and I think we'll see all three of those guys pretty early in the season. Maybe two of them solidify themselves as kind of the two feature backs, or maybe it's just one again, like Dylan Sampson emerged as last year, as this is just the go-to guy. But it feels like we'll see all three pretty early. I think, I know me and Ryan Shumpert talked about this kind kind of recently. Like, it feels like Deshaun Bishop is probably the day one starter just because he's been here. He's, gone through all the, the work that's necessary to earn that title. But I'm curious to see exactly how that rotation looks against Syracuse, particularly if it's a close game. Because if Tennessee jumps out early and they have a huge lead, that could change some plans. But if that game gets a little tight at first, or, maybe you can't create some separation early, I'm very curious to see what they do exactly with that running back rotation, because you could make your argument for all three guys. You could make your argument for Peyton Lewis already that he's the best in the group. You could make your argument that Deshaun Bishop's the most proven right now and you need to ride with him to start. You could make your argument that Star Thomas, you brought him in for a reason, and he's looked really good in camp. And Josh Heupel's talked about how he's a dramatically different player, I think was the exact quote, since he got to campus. And he's taking things very seriously, and it looks like he could play a big role this year as well. And then you got the two freshmen, too, that probably won't play much this season just because they have a lot of depth there. But they really like DeJuan Morris, and we've seen flashes from Justin Baker, too, that he could play his way into some sort of role throughout his career as well. So it's definitely for an offense that has a lot of question marks, that you don't know who the starting quarterback is. The wide receiver room so thin and already banged up, and who's going to step up there. The offensive line has one returning starter. It's really just tight end and running back right now that it's like, yeah, that room's fine. I don't think you have to put too much thought into that room because they'll be completely fine.
No, 100%. And we'll continue our Tennessee fall camp storylines here and dive deep here into the Volunteers' new look offensive line. When we come back, stick with us. It's The Chase right here on Fan Run Radio, Fox Sports 105.7 FM, 105.7 FM, 1340 AM, and always streaming for free on that Fan Run Radio app.
For the fans, by the fans, this is Fan Run Radio, Knoxville.
Running a business, coaching a team, planning your next big event, you need more than just gear. You need SM Athletics and Logo Solutions. Custom uniforms, branded apparel, promotional products, done right, done fast, and built to show off your brand with pride. From local businesses to high schools to major universities, SM Athletics is trusted by winners. Get real service, get real quality, get noticed. SM Athletics and Logo Solutions, where your brand comes to life.
Visit smathletics.com and let's build something great together.
Got a problem tree looming over your home? Call ECR Total Landscapes. Whether it's trimming, removal, or storm cleanup, our certified pros get the job done safely and efficiently. We're licensed, insured, and ready 24/7 for emergency calls. Big or small, we cut them all. ECR Total Landscapes. Call now for a free estimate, 865-384-2012, and mention promo code FANRUN for free stump grinding on any tree removal now through the end of the year. Also, visit us at ecrtotallandscapes.com.
Reel in a great catch with checking accounts at Citizens National Bank. You don't have to keep fishing around. CNB makes banking easy. Earn interest with rewards, or open a good life and enjoy travel opportunities. If a simple and straightforward account is important to you, CNB offers that too. Citizens National Bank's checking accounts are the catch of the day. Visit cnbtn.com. Member FDIC.
Hi, I'm Dr. Mike Costa at Knoxville Smiles. Here at Knoxville Smiles, we're all about making it easier for you to see the dentist. That's why we're now open until 7 p.m. on Tuesdays and Thursdays. If going to the dentist in the morning or during normal business hours doesn't fit your busy schedule, come see us a little later. Call 865-539-1776 to schedule your appointment, or just visit us online at knoxvillesmiles.com. Smile brighter with Knoxville Smiles.
Yeehaw! I've been hooting and hollering ever since I started betting with the VIP Play app. VIP Play has more than 200 leagues, every bet type you can imagine, live betting and live hosts, all with 24/7 support from real live people when you need them. Start betting better with the VIP Play app today.
Don't be a better, be a better with VIP Play today.
Download VIP Play today or head to VIPPlayApp.com. Make sure you use the promo code FANRUN to take advantage of their welcome bonus and so they know that we sent you. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-88-99789. Must be 21 or older and located in Tennessee to bet.
Are you looking for a treat that will knock it out of the park at the next watch party? Just like your favorite baseball team, Crumble brings the best lineup week to week with an expanded roster that includes key lime pie, strawberry cake, or my personal favorite, Monster featuring M&M candies. Let Crumble treat you to the best cookies in the game. Download the Crumble app and start earning rewards. You can even vote monthly on what flavors you would like to see at any store of your choice. Warmer weather is here, so get to the ballpark, but don't miss the cookies.
It's the Chase right here on Fan Run Radio, Fox Sports Knoxville, 105.7 FM, 1340 AM, and always streaming for free on that Fan Run Radio app. Ryan Sylvia of Rocky Top Insider in studio with us on a Tuesday. We're flipping it with the Ryans over at RTI. We'll get Ryan Shumpert of Rocky Top Insider here on Wednesday. Ryan Sylvia, I just need to just go Sylvia and Shumpert. I keep going Ryan and Ryan. It's gonna it's just where we're at. Two Ryans at Rocky Top Insider. But we're going Sylvia. We're going full Sylvia here. Call Shumpert, and Shump is, I don't know. Do you go Shumpert or Shump?
I feel like pretty 50-50.
Interesting.
It's almost, how business, how casual do you want to be with this?
100%. Well, we before we jump into our conversation with Tyler Rowland of Locked On Titans to dive into what we saw from Cam Ward and company, we're going to talk about what's going on with the Tennessee offensive line going into this upcoming season. And one of the things I was thinking about here today, and it's great that Tennessee is they're developing, there's a lot of blue chip guys that are shining in Tennessee this season. You'll have a true freshman starter at right tackle by all accounts, and David Sanders. And I think it's great that the tackles are having a great camp, right? That much is obvious that is a great development for Tennessee, that Sanders and Hurd both look the part. And if they are linchpin premier tackles in this conference this season, that will help a whole heck of a lot with whoever is quarterback one this fall on Rocky Top. Because, look, if they are not running around kind of like what Nico had to deal with at right tackle between Campbell and Dane Davis last season, and Hurd and his injury issues, it's just it adds a whole lot of peace of mind for Tennessee and this offense if the tackles are good. In the interior, it's more about the running game, with how much inside zone Tennessee runs, that's ultimately where that matters more. Yes, they have to be good in pass pro, but Wendell Moy hasn't given up a sack last season. I think he has one total sack given up in his entire college career. I think they're going to be okay there with whether he's on the left or right side. But what I do think is interesting that seems to be where things are headed is Sam Pendleton, who has never started at center, who started a couple games last season at Notre Dame as a guard. He might be the center with how things are going in terms of Satterwhite and Pendleton. We'll see what Friday, the next scrimmage, and what the chatter is coming out of that Friday scrimmage. Does Satterwhite make a move back? Does he impress? It's still something to monitor in terms of where Tennessee goes at center. But it is interesting where I feel a lot shakier in the interior, Ryan Sylvia, about Wendell Moy. It's his still first year in the system, going from Arizona to Tennessee. Is there an acclimation period? I don't know. I don't expect it. He's a pro. He's, by all accounts, been great since he got here. But still, an acclimation period and trying to figure out if he's more of a left guard or right guard. And then you have Sam Pendleton. Are you sure he's better as a center than a right guard or a left guard? Is it one of those situations where you have to throw him in? And he's another one who is a redshirt freshman who I think you can be excited about, North Carolina kid, but is that the best spot for Pendleton in this offense? Or is it one of those situations where, man, we look back at the end of the year, really wish William Satterwhite had just won this job and run with it. What does that mean for the future of the center position? Is that Sam Pendleton's stop at center? Is he your long-term answer there? Who knows? Can he grow into it? Like Cooper Mays is a redshirt freshman. We'll see on that account. And then you also have Jesse Perry, who is kind of ahead of the game in terms of his development. And again, Glenn Ellerby talked about his offseason. He described it as perfect for Jesse Perry. But again, 3-star kid coming out of Middle Tennessee, who they did not have a whole lot of pass pro where he played high school football at. I think they ran the wing tee and stuff. So it's a big difference going to this Tennessee offense. But if he's your leader in the clubhouse at right guard, it's 3 stars in the interior out of high school, which, again, not the worst case scenario. But look, Wendell Moy was a 4-star transfer. Pendleton was a 4-star transfer. It depends on how you view that. Do you they have developed better than what their high school recruiting ranking is to this point? But again, big difference for those guys. And Pendleton's not played center. He played big boy football at Notre Dame last year, but he did not play center at Notre Dame. And then Wendell Moy, it's a big change going from Arizona to SEC defenders, interior guys, week in, week out. I do think that's interesting to me because I have been bullish on the tackles all offseason. I think they're going to have a really good year in that regard. But I do kind of wonder how much mixing and matching we'll see throughout the season in the interior. I don't think this is going to be settled. And if it does go with Pendleton, Perry, and Moy in some combination, I don't think that's a 3-man unit that starts together the whole season. Do you?
I think you could be fine with that.
Okay.
I understand, of course, you want 5 stars, high 4 stars, and things like that to make up your offensive line, but I'm not going to get too caught up in where a kid was ranked when he was 17, when he's 20-something years old now. Like Sam Pendleton's a redshirt sophomore. He's played going into his third year of college football.
Right.
Be a very different player now than you were when you were a senior, junior in high school. Really, junior in high school is where those guys pretty much get ranked and stay in that ballpark for the most part. There's guys that jump and drop, of course, too, but for the most part, you kind of stay in that range for most of the recruiting process. So I'm not going to read too far into, this guy was a 3-star and this guy was that, especially those 2 transfers to Sam Pendleton and Wendell Moy, because Wendell Moy was great at Arizona. You said it, and it's very true. The SEC is a completely different beast than anyone he was playing at Arizona on a weekly basis. But he's shown that he can do it at a relatively high college football level. I think that he can do it at this level as well. I would rather, I guess, trust what Tennessee's evaluation is of those guys out of the transfer portal, and at this point in their careers, if it is the returners, than what the recruiting services said about them when they were coming up. So I'm not too worried about the interior. I think the bigger questions are honestly the tackles. I think the tackles will be really good, but I think the bigger question mark in terms of what they're going to be able to do is those 2 guys, because one's a true freshman in David Sanders, who looks like he could be really good and should be really good, but you haven't seen him play a snap of college football yet. And then the other guy in Lance Hurd, who has all the talent in the world and could play his way into a draft pick this year. He's coming off a season where he wasn't very good. And there's a bunch of things that went into that. He was hurt pretty much the entire year and all that stuff. And I think he's going to have a great year, but we haven't seen him do that yet. So I think if you're looking at the bigger question mark on the offensive line, it probably is the tackles for me, just because I think you're probably pretty safe with most of the guys in the interior. I like Sam Pendleton. I think he's probably a better guard, but if he's your favorite at center, he's your favorite at center, and I think you roll with that. I really like Wendell Moy. I think he could have a fantastic year. And then whatever that other position looks like, if it's Jesse Perry, if it's Shamu Murov, if it is William Satterwhite at center, and maybe you slide Sam Pendleton back out to guard, I think all those combinations could work. And you said it, maybe it's not the same for the entire year. Maybe you start with Pendleton at center and Umarov at guard, and that doesn't work out. So you slide Satterwhite in, or you try Jesse Perry or some other combination. But I think by the end of the season, they'll be decently comfortable with that unit. And it feels like the ceiling's maybe the highest it's been under Josh Heupel. 2022 was a really good offensive line with Darnell Wright and company. Jerome Carvin, Javonte Spraggins both had great years in the interior. But this offensive line feels like at least the best since then. I can't imagine it'll be worse than last year of 2023.
Yeah, I'm bullish on the offensive line too. And I don't know, Garrett, I just look at it is a bummer if William Satterwhite does not win this job, because he could potentially be your long-term answer at center, and you can redo. It makes you appreciate the Cooper era as much, him being a redshirt freshman and being able to handle it and just step in. And maybe that's not the norm. Maybe because that position is really hard to learn, especially in this offense, that maybe it's just for this year. And Pendleton handles center, and then he slides over to guard if Wendell Moy goes to the NFL draft, and you can slide Pendleton over, and then Satterwhite as a redshirt sophomore. That's when he is able to take the next step. So it's 1 year later than you would have liked. That, I guess, is still in play. Max Anderson, another guy who maybe that is, if you don't get both back for another season, one of those guys can finally take the job and run with it. Maybe that's what it is, Garrett. But I don't know. I mean, it is kind of one of those things where I just went into this offseason. I'm like, the best case scenario is you find your long-term answer at center. You hope it's Satterwhite, could be Max Anderson, whoever. But then you have your 2 transfers in Pendleton and Moy as your guards, and then your 2 5-star tackles. That was the cleanest, best case scenario for this offseason. I don't think we're at the best case scenario. I don't think it's a panic. It's not like the receiver stuff. But I do think that's like a B+, A- development. A+ development was Satterwhite runs with it, 2 transfer guards, and Sanders and Hurd. Is that fair?
Yeah, I mean, I think that would have been, ideally what you would have wanted to have. But, I mean, I think this is a position group. like the running back room that you trust. You know, it doesn't really matter how the snaps run out for the running back room or who's at what position on the offensive line. You trust that those position groups are going to be good. And, you know, speaking of the running backs, I think one of the reasons why we're bullish on the running back room and why we've been excited to watch the running back room the past couple of years is because we know that we have an offensive line that's good enough to compete in the trenches against the top defensive lines in the SEC and in the country, and that opens up the running game and that opens up the passing game. But, you know, I think just nailing down your center is the most important, because the center is one of those positions on a football field where you're kind of a leader of that role. You know, the leader is kind of the center is more or less the leader of the offensive line. You know, you're snapping the ball to the quarterback. You have to have, you know, direct development with the quarterback, just as in the, you know, in the secondary, a safety or a corner, you have to have a leader back there. On the offense, the quarterback is the leader. You know, the center is the leader on the offensive line. And I think they're going to nail in who they want, but I trust the staff to kind of do whatever they feel is the best opportunity. And like we said, we might see things switch around a little bit, but it will be interesting to see where things develop for week 1 against Syracuse.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm taking the over as to whether or not you're going to see multiple starters on the interior this season. I don't think it's just going to be clean of Pendleton, Jesse Perry at right guard, Wendell Moy at left guard. I have a hard time believing that is your full season answer on the interior.
Yeah, no, I mean, and like you said, I mean, you're probably going to see guys switch up and change, and we're going to find to see, you know, what natural position people work best at. I think what you laid out earlier, of the ways the tackles and the guards and the center would work out ideally before the season, I don't think that we might not see that at the beginning of the season, but maybe that's something that transpires later in the season, and you do see that happen. But I mean, anything I feel like is still on the table of where those guys could be under certain circumstances. And, you know, you never know. I mean, offensive line, you're bound to probably have an injury at some point in the season that, you know, puts somebody out for a few games. So where do you slide people in if that happens? And if someone slides in and, you know, does really good, do they stay there and then they move someone around? You know, there's a lot of things that could happen.
100%. Sylvia, what did you make of Brazel and Joseph back at practice? Were they full go? What did you see from those two?
Yeah, obviously a great sign. Joseph seemed to be full go. We only get to see so much, so I'm not exactly sure how much he did at this point in, you know, as practice progressed throughout this morning. But in the portion up to the media, he seemed, you know, not limited in any way, but they're only going through so much. Brazel's still somewhat limited. They didn't do routes on air today, but if you look back to Monday, his first practice back, it was a lot of kind of those abbreviated routes is what I've been calling them, where you kind of start past the break and, you know, maybe not even full speed kind of come across the middle. So it's good to get back into the mix of things, get loose, you know, get the knee feeling good, doing all those different things. But he's someone that if they played tomorrow, you know, I'm not sure if he'd be able to go. I'm not saying he wouldn't be able to, but he just doesn't seem 100% yet. You got a few weeks left to try to get your feet out or feet under you. So we'll see exactly what that looks like in these upcoming weeks. But Josh Joseph seemed for the most part like he was good to go. I said earlier, Mike Matthews, he's in that non-contact jersey, but besides that, he looks fine. Braylon Staley still off to the side, which kind of stinks right now for Tennessee, obviously, as well. And then Travis Smith Jr. and Radarius Jackson, the two freshmen, they're good to go. And I really like Travis Smith Jr., and I think he could have a great year. He's going to have plenty of opportunity, is what it certainly seems like. So, but he's someone that I feel like could live up to high expectations early in his career.
Can we throw out predictions of the starting 3 receivers for the Syracuse game? Because it's been reported, right, a little bit that it's a hamstring thing that Staley's dealing with, correct?
I believe so.
Not great. You saw what that was for Mike Matthews last year at this time. Hamstring issues are a delicate thing, and you have to be overly cautious. I mean, look at Tennessee baseball. Like, Gavin Keelan was out longer than we thought. I mean, Kavaris Tears dealt with a hamstring deal a couple of years ago. That's a finicky deal, and I think putting a timeline on it, it's really hard, but you have to be so careful with that injury in particular and making sure you're 100% ready to go. With 18 days out and mock game week coming up next week, I'm going to go a wild card here. Like, Mike, you've seen this. Have you seen Mike in the slot at all?
He has not in the times we've been at practice gotten reps in the slot during routes on air.
Who have gotten reps here in the slot that you've seen?
Mari Jefferson and Joakim Dotson would be the 2 scholarship guys.
I wonder if next week, if it's becoming clear that Braylon is just not going to be ready to go, if they move Mike inside next week and they go Travis Smith and Chris Brazzell on the outside, because Brazzell's gotten so many reps. Or do you try Radarius Jackson in the slot and keep Mike and Brazzell out? It seems like we're trending towards the clean Brazzell and Staley being 100% ready to go and in the starting lineup against Syracuse. That seems like I don't want to say long shot, but it's not something that I would say is the favorite at this point.
I think that's probably fair to say it's not the favorite. I would still pencil in Braylon Staley as a starter.
Okay.
When you get to Syracuse, we'll see. There's still some time for him to deal with things. It's not a good sign, obviously, that he's missed so much time. And for a young player as well, you want to have him out on the field and get those practice reps under his belt and do those different types of things. Get used to catching balls from Joey Aguilar, Jay Brickman, or whoever wins that starting job. But as of right now, I'm not going to completely panic on his availability for the first week. I think it's definitely worth being skeptical about, though, because he isn't on the field right now and he's missed some extended time. But I'll still bank on him being there right now. I would say if he's not ready, though, I think they're already going to do a bunch of 12 personnel. Man, they might spend like the entire game in 12 personnel against Syracuse at that point. Like, not that they don't like Amari Jefferson, not that they don't like Joakim Dotson, but that's essentially two true freshmen, right? So I don't know how much you want to go to that in a real must-win game against Syracuse. You're a decent favorite. You should win it. You should be fine, even if you're missing a receiver or two. Like, you really can't drop that game. So how much do you even want to really mess around with really inexperienced slot receivers when you can just kind of say, all right, Ethan Davis, you're essentially our slot receiver today.
When we come back, we'll talk to Tyler Rowan of the Locked On Titans podcast and get a deep dive in what he has seen from Cam Ward and company this offseason, what to make of the Titans' first preseason game over the weekend. Stick with us. It's The Chase right here on Fan Run Radio, Fox Sports Knoxville, 105.7 FM, 1340 AM, and always streaming for free on that Fan Run Radio app.
Check out our new and improved website at fanrunradio.com.
Hey, Knoxville. Surfside iced tea and vodka made with real brewed tea is only 100 calories, 2 grams of sugar with no bubbles and no troubles. That's right, zero carbonation, so it's easy to sip and enjoy. Headed to a game day or party at a friend's house? Bring an iced tea or lemonade variety pack from Surfside or try their green tea and new raspberry tea vodka. Find the can with the sunset stripes this season. Surfside iced tea and vodka, sold at bars, restaurants, and stores near you. Surfside iced tea and vodka, sunshine in a can. Must be 21 or older. Enjoy responsibly.
In a world filled with deadlines and screens, sometimes we forget the simple joys of life, days filled with special moments. At Inward Half, we understand the essence of these moments. Feel the difference between our breathable fabrics and flexible apparel as you disconnect from the hustle and bustle and reconnect with what truly matters. Inward Half, simple luxury for on and off the course.
Ready to launch your career? Axle Logistics is a leading third-party logistics company where excellence is an energy. With an award-winning culture, Axle proves that positive outcomes come from a positive environment and a work hard, play hard mentality. At Axle, the drive for success is infectious. And with an uncapped commission structure, hard work isn't just noticed, it's rewarded. For those with big goals and even bigger dreams, Axle Logistics is the place to start your career.
The Drive with Russell Smith, weekday afternoons from 3 to 6.
Join us weekday afternoons here on Fan Run Radio. We'll be discussing all the latest Tennessee football, basketball, and baseball news with expert analysis from special guests along with your phone calls. It's The Drive, weekday afternoons from 3 to 6, right here on Fan Run Radio.
Flagship station for Tennessee fans. This is Fan Run Radio, Knoxville.
The best athletes don't just play the game, they change it. When it comes to investing, Gainbridge is doing the same. Their online platform does things differently because it's designed to put you in charge of growing your own savings. It's intuitive, it's easy, and best of all, it's on your terms. No wonder Gainbridge has earned the trust of 40% repeat customers. It's a better way to invest because it's investing your way. Get started today at Gainbridge.io.
Located in Knoxville's historic Old City, Barley's offers great food, live music, the best draft beer selection in town, and now your new favorite place to watch sports. Their indoor projector is perfect for any weather, and they've revamped their upstairs area with more TVs to take in all of the action. Their menu features hand-battered chicken tenders, juicy burgers, fresh salads, and the tastiest pizza in Knoxville. You can enjoy their happy hour drink specials daily from open until 6 p.m. Barley's Tap Room and Pizzeria.
Running a business, coaching a team, planning your next big event, you need more than just gear. You need SM Athletics and Logo Solutions. Custom uniforms, branded apparel, promotional products, done right, done fast, and built to show off your brand with pride. From local businesses to high schools to major universities, SM Athletics is trusted by winners. Get real service, get real quality, get noticed. SM Athletics and Logo Solutions, where your brand comes to life.
Visit smathletics.com and let's build something great together.
It's a Chase right here on Fan Run Radio, Fox Sports Knoxville, 105.7 FM, 1340 AM, and always streaming for free on that Fan Run Radio app. You can also watch us on Fan Run Sports on our YouTube channel, live streaming the Chase 1 to 3 Monday through Friday, where you can also listen to Locked On Titans Zone. Tyler Rowland joining us right here on the program. Tyler, good afternoon, my friend. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. How are you doing?
Doing pretty good, I have to say. As an Atlanta Falcons guy, Tyler, looked like all Falcons over there in the joint practice in Flowery Branch today.
Yeah, it was tough for the Titans out there. I mean, they're getting good work in, but you know, it's a good football team the Atlanta Falcons have. I think they're going to have this year, and the Titans definitely took their lickings.
Well, in all seriousness, how did Cam Ward look in the preseason opener to you? Shedeur Sanders stole all the headlines with how he played with the Browns in their preseason opener. But what did you see from Cam Ward? Was it about what he expected? Was it maybe a little bit better, a little bit worse? What did you see from Cam in preseason game number 1?
Well, I would say it was a pretty good debut for Cam Ward. There were a couple of mistakes in there. I think there were 2 plays that were pretty rough. I think the first third down where he kind of tried to throw it out of bounds, but left it a little inside, left the pocket a little early. I think that was, just maybe nerves in his very first series, moving a little quick for him out there, but really settled in the second drive and had a near interception, but I actually don't think that was on him. The route distribution there, I think the tight end's route should have been a little shorter, pull down the corner, and maybe giving Cam Ward a little bit more of a hole to throw through there. But other than that, I think he really fought through adversity very well. The Titans got a penalty. It was 1st and 20. He was able to complete 2 passes in a row for 10 yards a pop and get them back in first down. That didn't happen a lot last year with the Titans offense when they got behind the stick. So to see that happen and him complete 2 third downs, 1 in the low red zone where the windows get really tight, I think there were a lot of things to be encouraged by, but fighting through that adversity on that second drive and third down situations, backed up situations, that really impressed me.
Hey, Tyler, this is Jay. From what I saw, I think Xavier Strepo only had 11 snaps in the game versus the Buccaneers. What is his future looking like so far?
I think it's going to be tough for him. He really needs to find a way to make an impact on special teams, and the reality is a guy at his size who's undersized, that's the opposite of what teams are normally looking for on special teams. Typically, teams are looking for big, strong, fast guys to play special teams, and he's not necessarily that, so he's got to really add value somewhere on special teams, and that's going to be in the return game. He's getting some opportunities as a returner. He's listed as a third-string returner for the Tennessee Titans, but he didn't really get opportunities to do that in that preseason game. If you're him, you got to hope you get some opportunities to do that eventually and show that you can add value on special teams, because I think right now just making it purely as a wide receiver who doesn't really help in the special teams units at all, I think it's going to be tough for him to go over top of a guy like Bryce Oliver, who does all of that, or a guy like James Prochet, who's a veteran, who's probably a better returner than Restrepo is right now.
So who shined, who struggled in the first preseason game in your notepad? Who did you have for both?
Well, I thought the number one thing was the offensive line. If you look at Cam Ward's performance, which is what everybody is going to be dialed into, of course, that's great. He played well, but he had a ton of time out there. I mean, he had over 4 seconds time to throw in the pocket on a lot of his dropbacks because the offensive line was handling things. Now, that's the Titans' starting offensive line against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers' second-string defensive line, so that should be the expectation. But I got to be honest with you, if you watch Tennessee Titans football over the last 3 years, the offensive line has always found a way to go far below the expectation. So at least doing a good job for the offensive line and handling business the way that they should. That's a positive takeaway, in my opinion. And then on the defensive side of the ball, I thought young linebacker James Williams was flying around and making plays. He even made the first special teams tackle on the opening kickoff. And he's getting an opportunity as a 7th-round pick from last year to be a starter, and he got a ton of run in that preseason game. And I thought he was pretty impressive. And Femi Oladipo, the 2nd-round pick, it hasn't been all great for him. You knew he would be a developmental project, but a lot of people thought he played poorly in that game. And I think you look into the tape and what the defense was trying to do, and he didn't have anywhere near as bad of a game as maybe what people would say. But it was pretty rough out there for the Titans overall. It's hard to get a big list of quote-unquote winners coming out of the game because they got handled so thoroughly, and a lot of the game didn't look very good.
Hey, Garrett. Hey, Tyler. This is Garrett. What do you make of Gunnar Helm? Obviously went out and got him in the 4th round of the draft this past year. Seems like a guy that they're pretty high on in their tight end room. And what do you like for his future in Nashville?
I think seeing him 2nd round or 2nd string on the depth chart already is a sign he's over a veteran guy like Josh Wiley, who's been there for a couple of years. I think ultimately he will be the starting tight end for the team. They're going to have a rotation at tight end, and Mike Borgonzi, the Titans general manager, has talked about how tight ends in the league now, it's hard to have that one big versatile guy who does everything. You got to kind of have a rotation like you would at running back with tight ends. And I think in that rotation, Gunnar Helm will ultimately at the end of the year get the most snaps at the tight end position. I think Chigakonkwo could have better statistics because he's a more explosive threat on offense, but Helm is just kind of an in-between. He gives you some good stuff in the receiving game with his size, his contested ability. He's a good route runner for his size as well, can really win over the middle of the field. And he's also bigger than Chigakonkwo. He's 6'5", 250, where Chigakonkwo is more, 6'2", 225, 230. And just the additional size, it's a big man's game. That's going to help him be more versatile and block on the line of scrimmage and handle one-on-ones against defensive ends when he's asked to do that. So I think that versatility and then his skill set being better than where I think he got drafted, that's going to lead to him ultimately getting the most snaps at the position. So I'm very excited about Gunnar Helm. And one thing I would add is I think Cam Ward is a gunslinger. And I think with that, he's not going to be the most pinpoint ball placement accurate quarterback in the NFL. He's going to take some chances. He's going to play sandlot football where he runs around and extends plays and throws the ball up to his guys and gives them a chance to make a play. So I think building around Cam Ward, you saw the Titans get Chim Dike, 6'1", Alec Iomanor, 6'2", wide receivers in the 4th round, and then they get Gunnar Helm, 6'5", a guy who's great in contested situations. I think having guys who can win with a big catch radius and maybe pluck some of those inaccurate jump balls out of the air for Cam Ward, I think that'll be critical to supporting him from a skill set standpoint going forward.
Go ahead, Jay.
Do you have any updates on Kevin Winston so far?
Still not at practice. I think it's, in my opinion, there is no way to color this as the Titans did things the right way. Either they overworked a guy by having him work 5 padded practices out of 6 days, and now they don't know when he's going to come back because he's so sore from the overworking that they don't even know when he's going to come back to practice. Or the other way to look at it is they're lying about how serious the issue is and are telling us it's just soreness. Now we're hearing whispers and different reports that it might be some hamstring tightness related to the ACL surgery. But either way, the Titans either aren't being forthright about how serious it is, or they overworked him and now he's out indefinitely until the soreness goes away, which they don't. Brian Callahan said in his press conference earlier this week, they don't know when he's going to come back to practice. So it's weird to me. Some people counter with, well, they had this plan. I don't know anybody who has a plan and doesn't know what that plan entails. Like Brian Callahan made the maintenance plan in theory. How does he not know when he's going to be back from the break if he's the one who made the plan? So none of it makes sense. And I just don't think that the team has given us the real details as to what's going on right now. But you got to hope that it's nothing serious and they can get him back on the field and get him ready for the season because he's a quality player when healthy. And I think he can help this defense that may be not as good as last year's.
Where are they thinnest when you look at the depth chart right now and after that first preseason game? What stands out to you in the position rooms there?
Oh, the defensive backfield, especially at cornerback. That's really the area where I just think they are so thin right now with L'Jarius Sneed up in the air and you hate to be a pessimist, but it's hard to envision L'Jarius Sneed ever coming back and being worth the contract that he got for the Titans. Like, even if he gets back on the field, Lloyd Cushenberry is a 300-pound offensive lineman who tore his Achilles, and he got back to practice quicker than L'Jarius Sneed, whose injury happened before. So it's hard to fathom L'Jarius Sneed being a contributor to this football team, and if he is not, well, I think Jarvis Brownlee Jr. is a good story in year 2 and could be a good, solid player. But Jarvis Brownlee Jr. is a risk taker and maybe a guy who's better suited to play inside. He's their number 1 outside corner. I think that is risky. And Roger McCreary's a good nickel, but we know from his career here that he is not able to play on the outside. So who's playing there? Darrell Baker, who had a good season last year as a reserve, but he's a reserve. He was a cast off from the Colts last year the Titans got. And then you have where the real problems come in. Who's going to be there? A bunch of undrafted free agents, 6th-round rookie Marcus Harris. I mean, is that who you're counting on if Darrell Baker goes down? If we're talking about Darrell Baker getting injured as something that will capsize this football season, you're already in trouble, in my opinion. So if you want to talk about a weak spot or where the depth is the weakest, it is by far the cornerback depth, in my opinion, compounded by L'Jarius Sneed's uncertainty.
When you look to these next couple of preseason games, we'll get you out on this, Tyler. What is the one thing you're looking for from Cam to build off of from his first preseason game?
Well, I want to see him just create more big plays. I just want to see him operate the offense. I think be a professional quarterback. And honestly, we talked about all the stuff out on the field and the throws and everything like that. But what also impressed me from Cam Ward from that first preseason game was the operation of the offense. They didn't have any pre-snap penalties, no false starts, no illegal motions. Everybody looked like they knew where to be. They ran their plays. And that's not something that happened consistently last year for the Titans offense. There were a ton of pre-snap penalties and process penalties, operational penalties. So I just want to see Cam Ward continue to do that and not make any, mistakes that are unexplainable. You know what I mean? There are going to be mistakes. There are going to be reasons. The almost interception I talked about down the sideline, like there's a good reason for that. Just don't make any of the strange, unnecessary plays and continue to have a professional operation, and I'll be happy with that.
I love it. What can the good folks check out from you over at Locked On Titans this week?
Yep, absolutely. Every day, all day.
Love it. Tyler, keep up the great work, my friend, and we'll have to check back in again soon.
Absolutely. Thanks, guys.
Tyler Rowan, Locked On Titans. Great stuff there, and pretty optimistic about Cam Ward and company. Now, people might be able to throw all over the Tennessee Titans this season. Defense might have some issues, but L'Jarius Sneed was one. I don't know. In hindsight, asking our 2 resident Titans fans, did y'all feel like that was not going to go well when the Titans added L'Jarius Sneed? Did that just feel like, why are the Chiefs comfortable moving on from this man?
I was kind of excited.
Okay.
I'm not totally locked into the NFL all the time, so I'm not going to act like I'm the authority on all things Tennessee Titans. But just namesake, he came off a good year, if I remember right. So I remember being pretty like, okay, let's do this thing with L'Jarius Sneed. This could be fun, but so far maybe not so good.
Yeah, I was very happy when the Titans ended up getting them. They got them for really cheap, and I guess like what you said, that's probably a red flag to look at looking back at it. But no, I think he was one of my favorite offseason acquisitions, and it just has turned out to be an absolute disaster. And one of the reasons why they moved on from Rand Carthen so early.
When we come back, we'll talk to Richie Randall, host of the Buzzbeat Charlotte Hornets podcast, to get an update on Grant Williams, where things are with him going into his next season with the Charlotte Hornets. We'll talk about what happened with that Dalton Connect trade and how he would have fit in Charlotte, and just the current state of those border Charlotte Hornets here. Right here on The Chase, 105.7 FM, 1340 AM, and always streaming for free on that Fan Run radio app.
Follow us on Twitter or X or whatever they're calling it these days at Fox Sports Knox, Fox Sports Knoxville, Fan Run Radio.
When it's past high noon, it's time for a vodka soda made with a vodka you've actually heard of. I'm talking White Claw vodka soda made with White Claw premium vodka. JB Smooth only drinks vodka soda made with the world's smoothest vodka.
And you can too. Pick you up a bottle of the Triple Wave filtered vodka that's been distilled 5 times. White Claw Premium Vodka comes in 4 flavors: black cherry, mango, pineapple, and just vodka. You haven't had vodka like this. No one has. White Claw Premium Vodka. Please drink responsibly.
Hungry for some mouth-watering barbecue? Then take the quick drive up I-75 to Rickard Ridge for some of the best barbecue you'll ever have. Fall off the bone, Memphis-style baby back ribs, slow-smoked chicken thighs, and fresh hand-cut steaks. Rickard Ridge has something for everyone. Located in Cove Lake State Park with a spectacular view of the Cumberland Mountains, Rickard Ridge. It's more than just dinner, it's a destination. Check out their full menu and catering options online at rickardridgebbq.com.
Believe in family. Believe in your fellow man. Believe in honesty and an honest day's work. We do. We're Farm Bureau Insurance. And we don't just believe in Tennessee. We believe in Tennesseans. Farm Bureau Insurance. Tennessee's insurance company.
This is Baseball VFL Cody Brown. Farm Bureau Insurance is the official insurance for Tennesseans. Believe in me for all of your insurance needs. Give me a call at 865-992-3871.
Blackford Veterinary Surgery Referral specializes in surgeries not regularly performed by your pet's general veterinarian. They're currently accepting referrals from vets all across the country. With their newly renovated state-of-the-art surgery center and highly trained staff, clients can rely on professional and thorough care. If your vet says that your pet needs surgery or rehab, ask for a referral to Blackford Vet and let them get your best friend back on its feet. Located conveniently in West Knoxville. For more information, visit blackfordvetsurgery.com.
In sitcoms, when someone has a problem, they just blurt it out and move on.
Well, I lost my job and my parakeet is missing. How was your day?
But the real world is different. Managing life's challenges can be overwhelming. So, what do? We get support. The Huntsman Mental Health Institute and the Ad Council have mental health resources available for you at loveyourmindtoday.org. That's loveyourmindtoday.org. See how much further you can go when you take care of your mental health.
You're listening to FM 105.7 and AM 1340, WKGN Knoxville, and W289CU Knoxville, Fan Run Radio.
Whether you're heading to work, taking the kids to school, or planning your next road trip, your car needs to be ready for the ride. Hi, I'm Russell Smith, and I've been a customer at Matlock Tire and Auto Service for about as long as I've been driving. For me, it all comes down to trust. Look, I'm not a car guy, and I just don't want to get taken advantage of on car maintenance costs. Matlock Tire Service is a family-owned and operated business, and they wouldn't have made it this long if they hadn't been providing trustworthy service you can depend on. They're the home of the price match guarantee, which means you can bring in any competitor's ad, and Matlock will match the exact same tire for the exact same price. I've bought a lot of tires at Matlock over the years, and I always go there for my oil changes. You should too. They've got locations in Farragut, Hardin Valley, Lenoir City, Maryville, and Athens. Visit their website, matlocktireservice.com, to find the location nearest you and schedule your appointment. Tell them Fan Run Radio sent you. Honest service, quality work, dependable care, Matlock Tire and Auto Service.
Here on Fan Run Radio, Fox Sports Knoxville, 105.7 FM, 1340 AM, and always streaming for free on that Fan Run Radio app. Also streaming on our YouTube channel, Fan Run Sports. Make sure you like and subscribe if you have not already and watch us there. You can also hear folks like our guest at this time, BuzzBeats Richie Randall, joining the program here on this rainy Tuesday afternoon in Knoxville, Tennessee. Richie, how are you doing, my friend?
I'm doing good. We're actually dealing with the same rainy weather. I feel like it's been the same weather for like 8 straight days.
100%. And it's not that far. I was telling my co-host Ryan Sylvia here before we jumped on. It is interesting to me because East Tennessee is not, it's an easy drive going from East Tennessee to Charlotte, and obviously Asheville is super close. But I kind of wonder, is there a Tennessee volunteer contingent? When you go to games, like cover games, have you seen some balls in the wild at these Hornets games over the years?
Yeah, I've actually seen them more probably at the Panthers games. I don't know why. Maybe they just show up more for football games than they do basketball games. But yeah, there's definitely a contingency of Tennessee fans. And personally, I hate to say this, but I'm a Florida Gator fan. So this could be, rub some feathers the wrong way there.
Well, it's interesting because one of the things this offseason was the Dalton Connect thing that almost happened that I want to touch on before we get out of here today. But I also want to start with Grant Williams. So Grant Williams, obviously big-time VFL, super successful at Tennessee, lovable. He did the Gator Chomp, which I'm sure you did not appreciate years ago, Richie. But he's found his role, found his niche in the NBA. He seems like one of the leaders on the Charlotte Hornets teams. What have you heard and seen from Grant over the last year with Charlotte? Is he a good fit? What has he done really well? How has he settled in to his role with the Hornets?
Yeah, Grant's been awesome for Charlotte, and obviously coming back to his hometown team where he played high school at, it has been something that's kind of rejuvenated him in terms of his tenure here. In terms of the play style and just what he has brought to this team, like he's something that can play a versatile role in terms of being a small ball center, in terms of, having the physicality. Like, he's so physical, even though he's undersized, even at the power forward position, sometimes he's outmatched by 2 inches or so, but he's able to body players down low. He also gives them versatility on the offensive side of the court, and just in terms of whether he's working inside in the post, whether he's working outside behind the arc. And I think the turning point last year in the season was Grant Williams' injury. Late November versus Milwaukee, he goes down, he tears his right ACL. And it's not like the Hornets were lighting it up by any means, but they had a record of 6-9 throughout those first 15 games before he went down. And you look at the stat sheet for Grant Williams with his time here in Charlotte, like, nothing stands out at first glance, but he's just a guy that brings so much to the team in terms of leadership and tangible qualities. He's a physical player who sometimes allows Charlotte, like I said, to go small. He's the ultimate glue and connector guy that I think any team would love to have. And hopefully the Hornets, get the ship righted, and a couple years from now, maybe they're in the playoffs. He's the perfect guy to play in the playoffs in terms of not being able to play it off the court. So, yeah, Grant Williams is awesome in Charlotte, and I think a lot of people love him because he is a sound kid.
Hey, Richie, thanks for coming on. This is Garrett. Obviously, Charlotte goes out to Vegas, wins the Summer League, goes 6-0 out there. What was the most underrated storyline that you saw? Obviously, Knipple did very well. Kalkbrenner had a good Summer League. Who was a player that went out there and kind of, did better than expectations, or maybe even a couple guys that really impressed you that led that team to the title?
Yeah, I think underrated. Like, if you were going into it not knowing, how this guy would perform, I think Lee Neal played very, very well. This was a player that the Hornets traded for late in the first round, I believe the 29th overall selection. And he provides a lot of the same qualities that. But the thing about him, as well as Con Knipple, proved over 6 games in Vegas. And McNeely showed some potential with the ball in his hands, running the pick and roll. Obviously, he still has a ways to go on the defensive side of the court. But I think in terms of expectations and performing above the expectations and not knowing what you're going to get, obviously it's Summer League, I think McNeely was the one that expected the most. In terms of Knipple, like, he was also a standout player. He won the MVP in that championship game. I think many people like Grant Williams are familiar with him just because of his time at Duke. But if you don't know much about his game, he's a very steady player. He offers a little bit of everything. I think his standout skill is the shooting and how he can space the floor for Charlotte, especially for a team that struggled to shoot the ball from behind the arc last year. Like, he's more than just a shooter, though. Like, you can feel comfortable putting the ball in his hands, allowing him to make decisions out of the pick and roll. He can facilitate for others. And overall, he's just a ball mover and a team-first guy. And I saw a lot of that in Las Vegas. And obviously, you want to see how those skills translate to the actual team come October. But I think there's so many skills within his game. I think the most underrated skill with Knipple is his way that he can, like, change speeds coming off screens, and he navigates those pretty well, making it difficult for defenders to determine, whether he's curling the screen, whether he's fading the screen, changing pace. He just keeps the opposition on their heels. So I thought the Hornets had a very good draft with McNeely, with Con Knipple in the first round. In the second round, they had Sion James and Kalkbrenner, as you mentioned. It's going to be work in progress on the defensive side of the court for a couple of those guys, but I would say McNeely and Con Knipple were the standout players in Vegas.
What is the latest on Grant Williams? Have you heard? When is the most realistic timeline for him being back this season?
There's not been a ton of updates with Grant Williams. The typical timetable for surgery with the ACL are expecting him around December, January, but it could videos flow around so that rush to really come not for this year. Out, great, but I don't think they're necessarily like impatient to where they want to bring Grant Williams back as soon as possible. But I would probably expect him, anywhere from December to February. I think that's a wide range, but there's not been anything definite that's been out and about from Charlotte media.
When Dalton Connect and that trade almost happened for Mark Williams, were you excited? Was the Hornets contingent like something? Was that a situation where, you're excited about Dalton Connect? Was he someone that you liked the potential fit when he was potentially lottery pick and like how he might work next to Brandon Miller and LaMelo Ball and company? Or are you kind of glad that trade fell through? Which way do you lean in the trade that never was in Dalton Connect for Mark Williams?
Yeah, a very strange occurrence. You rarely see trades rescinded in the NBA. And it was just such an odd time because there was a period where supposedly the Hornets were trying to kind of get further information about that, whether they can appeal the rescinding. And there was like a limbo period where Mark Williams wasn't playing, Dalton Connect wasn't playing for the Lakers. But eventually, obviously, it kind of got settled. But in terms of where I fell, when the news first came about, I was all for the trade. Dalton Connect, great shooter. The Hornets were definitely interested in him when he came out of Tennessee. And Mark Williams, obviously, he's a guy that is a very young, promising center as well. But this past season, there were some things about his game that, especially the injuries to his back, that kind of hampered him in terms of his mobility. He found a lot, rebounds. I think a lot of his up. And I think the guy will have back injury long-term future. So acquiring Dalton Connect, and I think it was like a 2031 first-round pick, that was an awesome return for Charlotte. And obviously, the Hornets had to deal with Mark Williams for the rest of the season. He was on the roster for the rest of the year. They moved to the Suns. But most people in Charlotte were happy for Dalton Connect. But in addition to that, they got a first pick. And I think that's something that the front office is doing a great job of. They realize they have a surplus of picks. And anytime they can get in on a trade where they get a young player plus a pick, they're going to be all in for that. So, I think, we've moved on at this point, but I think a lot of Hornets fans were wondering what it would look like for Connect to suit up in Charlotte.
When you hear Grant talk up LaMelo Ball this offseason, what do you buy it? Do you buy that LaMelo is gearing up for a big season? How big of a year is this for LaMelo's future in Charlotte?
Yeah, the conversation surrounding LaMelo is interesting. I think, it's all about health. I think that's a pretty basic way to start off with LaMelo conversation. It's all about health. He averaged a career high in points this past season, but also he played the second most minutes this past season since his All-Star season in his sophomore season in 2022. I do think it's a big season for LaMelo just because he's got to prove to Charlotte that he can stay healthy. And the conversation that is shifting around him right now is whether or not he is a piece for the future or whether or not he's a trade piece. And I think with the fact that he's not staying healthy, it's hard to gauge his value out there in terms of what the return would be. But also, too, if he goes out and has a great year like most people are expecting and he plays 65, 70 games where that is not something we've seen since his rookie season, then you wonder, well, now you can't really trade him because it feels like he's a part of the future. So I think with him, he is a very talented player. He's a top tier playmaker. He definitely is very much a high risk, high reward type of guy in terms of some of the passes he tries to pull off. He's very high volume when it comes to shooting the ball from behind the arc. And I do wonder if he would be better suited playing a style where he's not having to carry the load as much. And a part of the situation here in Charlotte where there's not been a lot of talent surrounding him, he's had to take on that offensive load where sometimes he takes shots that he probably shouldn't have, early in the shot clock. So he is, I think, in his second season of his rookie extension. And, it's a lot of money going towards him. And if he can't stay healthy, it's going to be hard to trade him. But by the same token, You got to see what you can get out of this guy. But Charlotte Hornets have when you think of the injury bug, you think of the Charlotte Hornets, because the past handful of years, nobody can stay healthy, especially to those key pieces in the starting lineup. I think last year alone, the Hornets had like 45 different starting lineups.
That's crazy. And LaMelo is just a league pass darling, man. I will always watch LaMelo Ball play basketball. I don't know if it's winning basketball. Like I don't know ultimately what LaMelo Ball is on a really good team, but I do know LaMelo Ball is must see. I watch a ridiculous amount of Hornets games during the NBA season and jump in there when the Hawks are off or anything like that. But yeah, I mean, outside of the Grant connection as well. But man, LaMelo is just, I hope he puts it all together, because LaMelo is a really fun basketball player to watch night in, night out.
Yeah, he just can't be missing 40% of his games. Because you just can't evaluate that. You can't evaluate that at all. But yeah, he's definitely the one player when you look at the roster that draws attention to Charlotte because of the flair, because of the theatrics, because of all that he can do with the ball in his hands.
He's just different, There's no one else in the NBA who runs point guard like LaMelo Ball, which is fun. It's different. I like diversity, and I think it's a lot of fun. Richie, what can the good folks check out from you over on the BuzzBeat Pod and also on y'all's daily Substack?
Yeah, I'm not sure if you have a lot of Hornets fans in Tennessee, so hopefully they care about
absolutely.
This. But yeah, we release an episode once a week, typically on Tuesday, which is today. And then over on Substack, we have basically a private website that also puts out episodes that are additional to that. We put out articles as well that just talk about the Hornets. And obviously come draft time, which is a ways from now, we do dig into that stuff as well. So even if there are Grizzlies fans out there that want to know about the draft, our draft coverage is pretty good too. So BuzzBeat, weekly episodes. Obviously right now it's kind of like in the lull of the off season, but we're trying to create content that doesn't have a lot of news or anything like that. But yeah, that's where you can find us, BuzzBeat.
I love it. Richie, keep up the great work, my friend, and we'll have to check back in again soon.
All right. Thank you, Chase.
Richie Randall of the BuzzBeat Charlotte Hornets podcast and Substack. Great stuff. I mean, it's just one of those. Grant, I hope he comes back healthy and strong, because he really feels like, I mean, obviously he's a hometown guy in Charlotte, and I think that is a sleeping, I don't want to say giant, but if you had gotten Connect there as well and that trade goes through, I'd be curious to see what the Tennessee turnout and how many folks make that trip over to see Connect and Grant Williams play together. Yeah, Jay.
Yeah, I would for sure would have gone to see a Hornets game if Connect was there.
Yeah, it just would have been a destination type deal, It would have been really fun, and you would have had an opportunity to go see those guys in person a whole heck of a lot. Like I said, it's not a far drive here from Knoxville.
And
pretty
Hornets
drive.
Tickets are cheap.
Yeah, it's true. Great logo, and also I'm just glad they went back to
the pinstripes.
Yeah, and all that. It just looks great.
The pinstripes are so good.
I mean, the color scheme though, the Bobcats is an all-time just disaster. What are we doing with the Charlotte Bobcats in that era? Shout out to Desanya Jop, Ben Gordon. Who else was in that? Byron Mullins.
Kemba.
Emeka Okafor.
Yeah.
Al Jefferson.
Ooh.
Raymond Felton.
Let's remember some guys here. There's a whole heck of a lot of them. Byron Mullins is a rough one.
Ramon Sessions.
Ramon Sessions played for a lot of NBA teams. He's a guy, like, if you had to put an over-under on 9.5 NBA teams over the course of his career, it's a tough one. Ramon Sessions played for a lot of folks. Bucks, Lakers, Bobcats. I can keep the Knicks, Lakers. Did I say Lakers already? I don't know. But a lot of teams. Ramon Sessions played for a lot of folks. When we come back, we'll continue on our Tennessee conversation here. We'll talk about Saturday Down South, Connor O'Gara predicting Georgia to go 11-1 and what he thought about Tennessee, Georgia when the Bulldogs come to Neyland in week 3. We'll also hear from G6 Garrett as he continues on his offseason G6 summer preview series with the Buffalo Bulls. Stick with us. It's the Chase right here on Fan Run Radio, Fox Sports Knoxville, 105.7 FM, 1340 AM, and always streaming for free on that Fan Run Radio app.
For the fans, by the fans, this is Fan Run Radio, Knoxville.
Hello, is Tina there?
Who's this?
Yeah, this is Vince from the hit reality show Wives Don't Tell. Tina applied for our show to confess that her husband won't go to the doctor to get his erectile dysfunction checked. She said she's ready for a guy that can bring the heat.
All right, what the hell is going on? You know you're talking to her husband right now? Tina!
Well, she wrote the application that her man's performance is questionable. She's basically married to a coffee table. She also said, we live within driving distance to Men's Pro Knoxville, but he's too scared to get a blood test.
Oh my, She is done. She is so done.
Got you, Mike. It's Nephew Tommy. Ain't no reality show. It's a prank. Men's Pro Knoxville is the real deal, fellas. Local experts test results in minutes. Call 865-544-8220 or hit menspronknoxville.com before your lady books a new co-star. Men's Pro Knoxville, making it happen.
Hey, folks, if you're in need of a lawyer, you need to call my friend Jerry Givens. I've known Jerry since high school and can personally vouch for him. He's East Tennessee through and through. And if you're going through a divorce, bankruptcy, or a DUI case, you'll need someone you can trust on your side to help you navigate the local legal system. You can trust Jerry Givens. Call the law offices of Jerry Givens today at 865-801-9250 to schedule your free consultation. That's 801-9250.
Citizens National Bank. You want a bank that lets you bank when and where you want to. Your local branch, the grocery store, your computer, your phone, it's up to you. You want people who care about taking care of you and your money too. Citizens National Bank. Banking never felt so good.
Knoxville, mark your calendars. Fan Run Night at the ballpark is back. Join us Wednesday, August 6th at Covenant Health Park as the Knoxville Smokies take on Biloxi and we take over the stands. It's all you can eat night, so make sure to bring your appetite. Plus, we're hooking up the fans with exclusive Fan Run swag giveaways you won't want to miss. Come hang with the Fan Run crew, rep your team, and enjoy a summer night of baseball, food, and fun. Fan Run Night, August 6th. Be there.
Yo, 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 what is up with it, homies? Talk Sports, that's the show you want. It's the longest running sports radio morning show in town. You want your radio shows to be fun, and that's what Talk Sports is. Fun, fun, fun. No weirdo callers. I think Tennessee gonna go 6-6 this year. No nerdy guests. Well, their receiver depth is a little bit thin. Just two of the most entertaining guys in town, and Bubba giving you what you need. Tune in 7 to 10 a.m. every weekday here on Fan Run Radio.
Believe in family. Believe in your fellow man. Believe in honesty and an honest day's work. We do. We're Farm Bureau Insurance. And we don't just believe in Tennessee. We believe in Tennesseans. Farm Bureau Insurance, Tennessee's insurance company.
This is Baseball VFL Cody Brown. Farm Bureau Insurance is the official insurance for Tennesseans. Believe in me for all of your insurance needs. Give me a call at 865-992-3871.
Whether you are buying or selling a home or even looking for some land to build on and start a family, be sure to give Reed Emerson with Better Homes and Gardens Real Estate Heritage Group a shout. He is a longtime listener and supporter of Fan Run and has been serving the Mid-State for many years. Reed prides himself on his hassle-free and honest approach, and that's because he's not just chasing another commission. He wants what is best for his clients. Give Reed Emerson a call or text him today to get the process started. His number is 931-492-0418, or you can find him online at bhgheritagegroup.com.
eBay Motors is here for the ride. Go ahead, feel your engine. Admire that perfectly installed exhaust. Your vehicle's moving along this freeway like it was made from fresh installs and a whole lot of love. With eBay Motors, you get over 122 million parts to keep it running. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, they'll be the perfect fit every time. Plus, at these prices, well, we're burning rubber, not cash. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply.
Right here on Fan Run Radio, Fox Sports Knoxville, 105.7 FM, 1340 AM, and always streaming for free on that Fan Run Radio app. As we continue on here with Ryan Sylvia, a Rocky Top Insider, in studio with us on a Tuesday. Ryan, we're going to talk to G6 Garrett now. Buffalo Bulls, he did his breakdown. He does some great, he does full-on pieces. Here, Ryan Sylvia on his X account. Make sure you give him a follow. What is it, 4th and Saturday, I believe? Yep. Garrett Armbrust. So tell us about these Buffalo Bulls, where I always get their head coach's name confused with Phil Longo. who is now the head coach at Sam Houston State. Because is it Pete Limbo? Is that correct?
Limbo, yep.
Yeah, so
correct.
it's very close to Phil Longo. But Pete Limbo, been there for a couple years now, replacing Maurice Linguist, who took the co-DC job at Alabama as a sitting head coach. So what can you tell us about the Bulls and where things stand with them in the MAC this year?
Yeah, they're going to be really good again this year. Last year, they were a pretty solid team. I believe they went 9-4, won the bowl game over Liberty in blowout fashion in the Bahamas Bowl. But they kind of came out of nowhere. Pete Limbo was kind of a hire that wasn't really on a lot of people's radar. And then they started out the season really hot last year and played very competitive against some of the top MAC teams, whether that was Toledo or Miami of Ohio and Ohio University. But second year coming back for Limbo. Their coordinators also entered their second season. So basically, second year with the new staff, and they returned a lot of what they had last year. Obviously, coming in at quarterback, they're going to have a little bit of a switch up. They'll have Taquan Roberson coming in, who was the one of the backups at K-State last year. He was the starting quarterback at UConn 2 seasons ago, had over 2,000 passing yards, was pretty serviceable. He's not going to be asked to be anything special because they return one of the best running backs in the group of 5, and Aljay Henderson. He had 1,078 rushing yards last year, 9 touchdowns. Messiah Birch was an exciting freshman that had over 5 yards per carry as well last year. And they also bring back one of the top wide receivers in the MAC, Victor Snow, who had 650 receiving yards, 6 TDs, and 11.8 yards per catch. They bring in a couple guys, Jacob Merritt, offensive lineman from Michigan State, Josiah Gathers, wide receiver from UConn. So on the offensive side of the ball, they should look to be kind of where they were last year. I would expect Aljay Henderson and Victor Snow to continue to get better. Those are 2 really under-the-radar guys that if you're watching Tuesday Night Action this year, you need to keep your eye on. Defensive side of the ball was really where they won games last year. Sean Dolick was one of the best linebackers in the entire country last year, had over 100 tackles. He got an opportunity now for the Rams. Red Murdoch will be their linebacker that returns this year. Had some pretty crazy stats last year, 73 solo tackles, 2 sacks, 7 forced fumbles last year, and an interception. He's one of my favorite linebackers in the country to watch. Deion Crawford is also in their linebacker room, who had 27 solo tackles, 8.5 sacks last year. And Kobe Stewart coming off the edge, 16 solo tackles and 9.5 sacks last year. So those guys are really good players. And in their secondary, Jalen McNair was a really good nickel, and Charlie McEtherins was an extremely good corner who had 4 pass deflections, interception, and 25 solo tackles. They returned a lot of their defensive production from last year. They did have one of the best kickers in the country last year, Upton Belenfant. He's now at Texas Tech. He'll be their starting kicker. But this is a team that's really good. They opened the season against Minnesota. I believe right now they're like a 14.5-point underdog. I could definitely see them covering that game. I don't know that they're necessarily going to win the game and beat Minnesota. I think Minnesota's an underrated team this year. But I think they could definitely cover with the defense that they're going to bring. Minnesota has a freshman quarterback, first-year quarterback starting in that game. But they do bring in one of the best running back rooms, Minnesota, in the country with Darius Taylor and A.J. Turner, the Marshall transfer. So it'll be interesting. After that, season gets a little easier. They play Stephen St. Francis, who was FCS. They're moving to D3 in a couple of years. That should be a win. They play Kent State, who's probably the worst team in the MAC. And then they get Troy as their final out-of-conference game, and UConn. UConn will be a tough game. Troy, I see them being the better team there than Troy, but at Troy could be interesting. And then the beginning of their MAC schedule's pretty easy. Eastern Michigan, UMass, and Akron should be able to handle all of those. Bowling Green and Central Michigan, 2 interesting teams with new head coaches, but I would still roll with the Bulls on those. And then the final 2 weeks of the year, they get Miami of Ohio and Ohio, who will be 2 of the top 4 teams in the MAC. They avoid Toledo. I think Buffalo is going to be in the MAC championship this year. I think Buffalo is going to win the MAC championship this year. And it's going to be exciting to see what they can do. And I'm sure a lot of people will be able to watch them because they'll be playing those Tuesday, Wednesday night MACtion games in November. I know I love watching them, and I think a lot of people enjoy watching those games, even if they don't really know much about the teams.
There you go. He has the Buffalo over. You're very confident in Buffalo this year.
I like them. I've said that they're one of my top group of 5 teams in the country this year. I think they win.
Good 25 bet.
Nine wins, I'd say. Not 9, maybe even 10.
What's their over under?
I think it's 8.5.
Okay, you got the over.
Yeah.
There you go. Great stuff, as always, from G6 Garrett. And let's continue on here, Ryan Sylvia. Connor O'Gara, friend of the program here of SaturdayDownSouth.com, he wrote a column going game by game in his expectations for the Georgia Bulldogs in 2025. He has a deep dive into what he thinks will happen with that Tennessee-Georgia game, where he does have Georgia beating the Vols in Week 3 in Knoxville. But he predicted them to go 11-1, with only one loss being to Florida in the world's largest outdoor cocktail party. Ryan Sylvia, does that feel right to you? Do you think this is an 11-1 team and the best team in the SEC this year?
I think it's an 11-1 team, but I think the loss is to Texas. And I think that's probably not the hottest take. I mean, someone's got to lose that game. It's probably the two best teams in the SEC. You get them at home this year, right? Is that correct?
Texas is at home. Yeah, this is the best Georgia home schedule in a long time.
They went out to Austin last year with some trash thrown on the field and all that hoopla that Tennessee fans have never and will never do.
That was also a crazier scenario because they actually reversed that call. That's one of the more crazy things I've ever seen, with the officials actually looking up at the big board and actually reversing a call. It worked.
Trash on the field worked.
If that was Tennessee, they wouldn't do that.
I mean, I don't know. I just know that was insane.
Smart interview afterwards.
Whew. It's an all-timer.
And never forget that kid's haircut either.
That was yes. The real ball knowers remember this man. He went viral for that.
Yeah. Are you talking about the guy with like the? Hold on.
Very high.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like a full on. I mean, it didn't look real. Like it was. The man had a dome and a big, like just a whole lot of hair, strong hairline.
Okay. Yeah. That's what.
And I think with Georgia though, Sylvia, like you said, the losses of Texas. I mean, they swept Texas last year. They beat Texas twice. Beat them in the SEC title game. Beat them in Austin. I don't think it's Texas to me when I look at Georgia's loss. I think they at least go 1-1 against Auburn and Alabama. Auburn gave Georgia all they can handle 2 years ago in the Plains. Like, it took a Brock Bowers superhero effort for the Dogs to survive against a bad Auburn offense. Like, Auburn found a way to really give Georgia a whole heck of a lot of problems. Playing in the Plains is going to be tough. I think that's a game that a lot of folks are not circling there. It's also not great for Georgia in the scheduling department. So can I give you guys so here's what's going to happen. After the Tennessee game, Georgia gets a bye, but then they get Bama at home, Kentucky at home. And remember, we're all probably pretty down on Kentucky in 2025, but Kentucky gave Georgia problems last year. What was that? A 9-7 final in Lexington last year? Like, Kentucky gave Georgia all kinds of problems at home and just dragged them in the mud. Will Kentucky be able to do that again? I don't know. But it's a physical game. I have a hard time believing it's not going to be a physical situation. They are going to go from Alabama at home, which is going to be physical, and the biggest, I think, home game of the year, because it feels like they're still the biggest rival for Georgia right now, even post-Saban. I think that atmosphere is going to be stronger for Bama, and I think you have a bigger Bama turnout than what you'll get for Texas. Texas will still show out, but still too new in those back and forths that I don't think it's going to have that same feel as Georgia-Alabama will in Athens on September 27th. But you go with no buys, Bama at home, Kentucky at home, at Auburn, Ole Miss at home, and then you get a bye to Florida. So to me, I just don't think they're going to be able to run the gauntlet there. That's an extremely physical month-long slog for the Dogs, and I think that's the one where I've got circled, because I think they'll beat Texas at home. I still think I would lean towards them beating Florida. They have a bye before that game. That's huge for Georgia in the bye week spot. I tend to agree that it feels like 11-1 to me. I just think it's going to be one of either Bama at home or Auburn on the road. Do you agree, Garrett?
Yeah, I would say those. I'm going to go ahead and say it right now. I think Georgia Tech takes in 4 quarters. I don't know that they're going to win.
I mean, they should have beat them last year.
Georgia Tech, in my opinion, is the second best team in the ACC this year behind Clemson. Miami's right there. SMU's right there. Louisville's right there. Georgia Tech's offense is as good. They're a extremely good offense. You have Hayes King returning. You have Jamal Haynes. You have Eric Rivers coming in from wide receiver at FIU. You have Malik Rutherford coming back. Like, this is going to be an extremely good offense. They've improved significantly on the defensive side of the ball. They brought in some good transfers. They have a lot of guys returning that have developed over the offseason. That game, I think, will be – I don't think you can just say Georgia's going to win that game for sure. Like, I think there is a legitimate possibility, especially with it being a neutral site game. I think it's a legitimate possibility that Georgia Tech could win that football game, because Georgia Tech is a very good team. If that game didn't, they had the game. I mean, they were up 13 points with 6 minutes to go.
Yeah.
I mean, they were the better team that game, and Georgia won. It went into overtime, and they did that little stupid 2-point conversion gimmick that you do for 8 overtimes. And that's just. Georgia Tech had plenty of opportunities to win. They should have won the game. They should have capitalized. But that's the game where if Georgia Tech wins that, I don't think you can be that surprised.
It's the Atlanta part of it to me, where it's in the Dome, Mercedes-Benz.
But they
it's
almost beat them in Athens last time.
Right.
This was not at Bobby Dodd.
Yeah. I just would rather it be at Bobby Dodd.
Oh, I would too. But I'm just saying, if they could almost beat them on the road, I don't see why they can't beat them in a neutral site.
Well, I think they've had better luck in Athens. I mean, you had that, remember, wasn't it Butker who hit that just 60-yarder almost to beat the Dogs years ago?
Weren't they up 2021 or 2022, at half, or they scored the first couple? They started hot. I remember that. I don't know, but I don't know. I just.
When was the last time they beat Georgia at home?
I think it was. Oh wait, at Bobby Dodd.
Either at Bobby Dodd or in Atlanta, but I mean,
I think
probably
2014 might have been the last time Tech won, if I'm not mistaken.
But that was in
was
Atlanta?
in Athens, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm saying the last time they actually beat Georgia when they were the home team. I feel like it's been a while.
It's definitely been a while.
I'm looking here because the last 2 victories have been in Athens. Last 3 victories have been in Athens. So they haven't beaten Georgia at home since 1999.
Wow.
Well, maybe it's good that it's not in Bobby Dodd then.
Maybe. But here's what Conor O'Gara also wrote when it came to Georgia and Tennessee squaring off in Neyland Stadium going into week 3 here. He wrote, quote, "There's certainly a world in which Stockton's first career road start is a house of horrors against an elite Tennessee defensive front, and UGA will be staring at its first 0-1 start to start SEC play since 2014. But I don't think that world exists in 2025. Not with how well Smart's defense has repeatedly handled Josh Heupel's offense. Even when disastrous starts ensue, like the last 2 years, Georgia has found answers within games to bounce back. It wouldn't surprise me if that played out again. Will Tennessee's first quarterback to beat Georgia since 2016 really be ... Joey Aguilar or Jake Merklinger? I can't see that. What do you think, Sylvia?
I think that's pretty accurate, just in terms of it is his first roast. You saw what happened to DJ Lagway a year ago. And now that's a true freshman versus Gunnar Stockton, who's not a true freshman. But Gunnar Stockton has played in big moments, of course, but he hasn't played in a true SEC road game where 100,000 fans are on top of you and all that goes into that, which can actually be, it's not just one of those things that people outside the programs hype up as, home field. Like, that is a real thing that you can have a home field advantage in that way. And when it's your first one, it can be tough to deal with that. So I could see a scenario where Tennessee's defense has a very good game against Georgia and Gunnar Stockton does not fire on all cylinders and he doesn't look like the standard of, a Georgia national championship caliber quarterback. It's just it's tough to see Tennessee winning that game because of all the questions on offense. Obviously, all starts at the quarterback position, but how is that offensive line going to do against the Georgia front? We haven't, seen many of these pieces on Tennessee's offensive line play at the SEC level yet, and even at that point in the season, they'll have played Syracuse, which is not no test, but it's not the same as Georgia. They'll have played ETSU, which obviously isn't even the same league as what Georgia brings to the table. So it'll be a first test for a lot of Tennessee's roster against high caliber opponents as well. Mike Matthews, Braylon Staley, you look at the receiver room, they have experience. They were on the team last year, but they have never been maybe counted on to the extent they will be this upcoming year against a team like Georgia up until this season. So I still would say Georgia's going to win it, but I would take, you mentioned the Auburn game, I would take Tennessee to beat Georgia way before I take Auburn to beat Georgia.
Interesting. I don't. I think Auburn's going to give them problems.
Hares,
yeah.
It's a tough place to play.
I mean,
Neyland Stadium's a tougher place to play, though.
Not really for Kirby Smart to this point. Kirby's been pretty comfortable there.
Yeah, he hasn't had to play. I mean, that's part of, just the rotations. But like Tennessee in 2021, obviously not the standard that Josh Heupel's been able to bring Tennessee to because first year. 2023 was a significant drop off from 2022. Tennessee's best teams have been on the road in those series. Now, it kind of seems like it's probably going to follow that trend again this year where Tennessee's not going to be as good as they were in 22 or 24 this season. But if you're looking at Kirby Smart hasn't had much trouble in Neyland, that's true. But what would have happened if he brought his team to Neyland in 2022? What would have happened if he brought his team to Neyland last year? I'm not sure if it would have been the same result.
That's fair.
That Ole Miss game's intriguing too. I mean, you saw what Austin Simmons did to him on that drive. I'm not going to say that's how it goes the entire game. But Georgia, as much as they have questions at quarterback, or not, I mean, really questions. I mean, you know what you're getting. You know who your QB1 is. Looking at their schedule, outside of DJ Lagway, every quarterback that they play, well, DJ Lagway and Hayes King, every other Power 4 opponent that they play has a new quarterback this year. So there's so many questions. Like in the SEC, they have enough blue chip talent where, like, they're just going to win so many games of the trenches. Like, that's why I get concerned about playing them. Like, it's week 3. It's early. They have a new quarterback. They also have a Georgia offensive and defensive line. So, I don't know. That just, especially what we were talking about earlier, the offensive line, like, where are these guys going to, like, slot in and stuff? Like, if you're playing Georgia, you don't really want to have those questions. Like, you want your offensive line to have their best game. Like, if your offensive line didn't play the best game of the season, you're not winning that game.
And if you want to go full optimist here, you look at Georgia has no tape on Joey Aguilar in this offense, where they will have a little bit of Syracuse stuff, but not a whole lot of just, hey, here's what Joey Aguilar is going to do in this Tennessee offense. You know, like, obviously Tennessee doesn't have that on Gunner, but I do think that helps because Tennessee or Georgia last year, that you played them late in the year. So Georgia had a lot of time to prepare for Heupel scheme and what they saw from Nico on tape. In 2022, they obviously had a whole lot of tape on Hendon Hooker to that point, and were more prepared. You get him week 3. Like, we'll see if that ends up making a difference playing Georgia super early and being super new and figuring stuff out on the fly in terms of who's playing and who's not. That might end up benefiting Tennessee, is that Georgia it's going to be hard to scout Tennessee's offense early on because you just don't know who's going to be a factor early on for the balls.
But one thing, too, that I think is interesting, what I was going to say earlier, we were talking about the running back room, Star Thomas has the ability where he can get out in the flat. We've seen, I think he has like 500 receiving yards in his career. I think that's something that you can use in that game where you have, like, if he's not your, 1 or 2 running back, like, get him some of those plays that maybe Tennessee hasn't really ran over the past couple of years, because there's not really that many running backs in the country really that are rushing threats and passing threats, and he's one of those guys. So I'll be interested to see how they use Star Thomas, not just in that game, but a lot of games, but especially against Georgia.
When we come back, we'll do our Lady Vols deep dive here from year 1 to year 2 in Kim Caldwell's backcourt and what Ryan Sylvia of Rocky Top Insider thinks of the two groups, and if Lady Vol fans should be excited that this might be a better group than even what you saw last year with the Lady Vol. So stick with us. It's The Chase right here on Fan Run Radio, Fox Sports Knoxville, 105.7 FM, 1340 AM, and always streaming for free on that Fan Run Radio app.
Congratulations. You found sports radio that doesn't suck. This is Fan Run Radio, Knoxville.
Only 3 homestands remaining to see your Knoxville Smokies play this season. And this week will be full of celebrations, starting with free hot dog night on Tuesday. All the hot dogs you can eat all night long. And if you're still hungry, we've got all you can eat Wednesday, Thirsty Thursday with half-off draft beers. Then on Friday, we honor one of the founding members of the Negro Southern League, the Knoxville Giants. On Saturday, we're continuing the fight against breast cancer by painting the park pink. And on Sunday is Cocoa Melon Day. Grab your tickets now at smokiesbaseball.com.
Barley's has live music on weekends, general team trivia on Wednesday nights at 8 p.m., and now live sports trivia courtesy of the Knoxville Trivia Guys every Thursday night upstairs. The game starts at 7 p.m. and is free to play for everyone, so head on down to the Old City and show off your sports knowledge and win gift cards to Barley's. Use those gift cards to buy some delicious food and drinks, and you can take it all in with their wide selection of TVs and indoor projectors. Barley's Tap Room and Pizzeria.
Hey Knoxville! Surfside iced tea and vodka made with real brewed tea is only 100 calories, 2 grams of sugar with no bubbles and no troubles. That's right, 0 carbonation, so it's easy to sip and enjoy. Headed to a game day or party at a friend's house? Bring an iced tea or lemonade variety pack from Surfside or try their green tea and new raspberry tea vodka. Find the can with the sunset stripes this season. Surfside iced tea and vodka, sold at bars, restaurants, and stores near you. Surfside iced tea and vodka, sunshine in a can. Must be 21 or older. Enjoy responsibly.
Yee-haw! I've been hooting and hollering ever since I started betting with the VIP Play app. VIP Play has more than 200 leagues, every bet type you can imagine. live betting and live hosts, all with 24/7 support from real live people when you need them. Start betting better with the VIP Play app today.
Don't be a better, be a better with VIP Play today.
Download VIP Play today or head to VIPPlayApp.com. Make sure you use the promo code FANRUN to take advantage of their welcome bonus and so they know that we sent you. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-8899-789. Must be 21 or older and located in Tennessee to bet.
When your car is making a strange noise, no matter what it is, you can't just pretend it's not happening.
That's an interesting sound.
It's like your mental health. If you're struggling and feeling overwhelmed, it's important to do something about it. It can be as simple as talking to someone or just taking a deep, calming breath to ground yourself. Because once you start to address the problem, you can go so much further. The Huntsman Mental Health Institute and the Ad Council have resources available for you at loveyourmindtoday.org.
Rickard Ridge Barbecue, located in beautiful Cove Lake State Park. Rickard Ridge is home of the best ribs in the volunteer state. Smoked daily by pitmaster Mark Rickard. The barbecue at Rickard Ridge is mouth-watering, fall-off-the-bone delicious. Take the scenic drive up I-75 to exit 134. For directions and to look at the rest of the menu, visit Rickard Ridge online at rickardridgebbq.com.
Right here on Fan Run Radio, Fox Sports Knoxville, 105.7 FM, 1340 AM, and always streaming for free on that Fan Run Radio app. Also streaming on the video front over there on YouTube. Just check out Fan Run Sports and hit that subscribe button, that like button, and join the party right here on Fan Run Sports on our YouTube channel. You can also watch us on X, Facebook, 1 to 3, Monday through Friday as we wrap up here in hour number 2 with Ryan Sylvia of Rocky Top Insider. Ryan Sylvia, what do you make of year 2 of Kim Caldwell's backcourt? Do you think there's with how interesting it's going to be with some new faces in the backcourt, that there is a chance that Kim Caldwell's second backcourt at Tennessee is going to be better than what Lady Vol fans saw last year?
There's a chance, but also Lady Vols had a really good backcourt last year, and you look at the pieces that they lost. They returned good talent, but you look at the pieces that they lost in Jewel Spear and Samara Spencer, that those were two of really some of the better guards in the SEC, especially how Samara Spencer came along by the end of the season. She had a little bit of a leg up too, which I think was important in terms of she came in coming from an Arkansas team that used some tempo and some pace, and it wasn't to the extent that Kim Caldwell uses, but it was still a little bit of a background that she was able to fall back on. So she was kind of had a leg up in that department, and then the way that she shot the ball and just had crazy efficiency on pretty high usage rates. That was great for Tennessee as far as the season went. And Jewel Spear as well was someone that everyone knows how well she could shoot the ball. She really last year in big moments too was someone that they were able to rely on, get the ball in her hands against UConn in those types of games where in the fourth quarter she came alive, and she was someone that they could rely on in a big way. So you lose that shooting threat, I think, is the biggest thing. Is now, where do the three-pointers come from? Because you've got to get some production from range. Talaysia Cooper can hit threes, but she's not a three-point assassin. Ruby Whitehorn's the same way. Z Spearman is someone else where it's like, yeah, she can shoot threes, but that's not her forte, I guess. Like, that's not the primary way that she scores. So they're going to have to figure out where that comes from. Is it going to be from Apaldo? Is it going to be from one of those players stepping up and being a more efficient shooter? Or is it going to be Nia Robertson, who kind of steps in and is one of those players in the backcourt that is going to be asked to shoot the ball from range, to get to the rim and do a bunch of different things on the offensive end? That she's a very interesting player for this backcourt. Nia Robertson is the SMU transfer, where her offensive ceiling is just ridiculously high. You watch the highlights in the film from what she did at SMU, and she was a tough shot maker, just stupidly tough shot maker. But the efficiency wasn't always there. And Tennessee's going to need her to be a little bit more efficient, because they're not going to need her to play, not that she was playing hero ball, but kind of doing those types of things where you just need a bucket, get the ball in her hands, see what she does. They have a bunch of options on the team that can score. So can she kind of be someone that, if you look at her, she can be an efficient scorer, but also at the same time, can she score in bunches too, like they want her to?
When you look at Kanaya Boyd, like how big is her upside potentially as the lead ball handler here in year 2 for Kim?
I don't know how much she'll be an elite ball handler. She reminds me of, she's really not that much younger, but a bit of a younger Kanaya Boyd, Talaysia Cooper in some ways, and she was an early enrollee, so she's younger than what her redshirt sophomore tag really entails. She'd be kind of just a true sophomore, but she's got the potential to be the best defensive player on the team next year. I would still say it's Talaysia Cooper, just because not only is she physically capable of doing all that, but mentally, Talaysia Cooper loves being, a great defender, and that can go a long way. But Kanaya Boyd has all those same attributes that she could be a lockdown defender. It was never a question in that pretty much true redshirt freshman year ago that she would be a great defender. It was, what is she going to be able to do on the offensive side? And she impressed me in some areas, especially in transition. She finished at the rim really well in transition, kind of going full speed at the rim. That's not an easy shot to make at times when you have someone right on your heels, and she connected on pretty much all of those. She showed that she can shoot the three. It's not her biggest strength in her game, but it's something she can do. So I don't think that she'll be someone that's, demanding the ball and being a primary ball handler every possession or things like that. But she certainly is capable of running a pseudo point guard role as much as they have a point guard in the Kim Caldwell system, because there's not really like Samara Spencer was the point guard last year, I guess you'd say, but it's not like she was, Zakai Ziegler running pick and rolls and doing things like that.
Is there a scenario where Paldo passes Boyd as a starter?
I mean, yeah, I think so. It's one of those things too that there's going to be different starting lineups all the time. Kim Caldwell doesn't commit to a starting lineup like most coaches, or like if you're looking at the men's side of things with Rick Barnes. Last year, when everyone was healthy, it was the same starting lineup from the beginning of the season to the end of the season. I think that, or I know that the Lady Vols don't care about that. Like Kim Caldwell says, like, I don't even know the starting lineup until they're announced some of the times on the jump. Like, it doesn't matter because they're off the court so fast and they get into those rotations. It's more of just a tip of a cap to, hey, you played well last game. Hey, you had a good string of practice. It's one of those things. So I don't read too much into the starters. It's more so the closing lineups that I think are important to look at in terms of who they're really comfortable with. And that's, now you compare it to football. It's like the running back room. You kind of just ride the hot hands. So maybe you go into the game thinking it's Peyton Lewis, but by the end of the game, it's Deshaun Bishop, and Deshaun Bishop's closing out the game. Similar situation for the Lady Vols, where I think there very well could be times where you say, Kanaya Boyd, you need your defense. You're shooting the ball well, doing this and that. You need to be on the court. Or there's going to be games where you look at Paldo or someone else and you say, hey, you're on fire. You're doing this and that the right way. We need you on the floor at the end of games. So we'll see exactly how much that gets split up, I guess, by the end of the year, how much of the closing lineups or the starting lineups are this and that. But you also have to look at all the position flexibility. It could be neither of them. Like, you could run Talaysia Cooper at point guard. You could run a couple other people at that quote-unquote point guard position, and you're completely fine offensively and defensively.
Cora Hall of the Knoxville News Sentinel does a great job covering the Lady Vols. She did her 2 lineup predictions here a couple months ago. I want to run these 2 by you. Let me know if you agree. Lineup 1, she has Kanaya Boyd, point guard, Talaysia Cooper at shooting guard, Nia Robertson / Kaya Wynn at shooting guard, forward, Janiyah Barker, forward, Jersey Wolfenberger. And then lineup number 2, she has Maya Paldo, Ruby Whitehorn, Jada Civil / Denia Prawl, and then forward, Alyssa Latham, forward, Z Spearman. Does that feel about right to you?
Yes. Yeah. I mean, I can certainly see the arguments. The one thing that stands out, I think I would have Kanaya Boyd and Talaysia Cooper theoretically not on the floor at the same time because of what they bring in the defensive end. Like, those are 2 great options to have up front in the press and to be super disruptive. So having them on the floor at the same time would just be stupid on the defensive end. Like, not stupid in a good way, as in like, what is an opposing team going to do against that? Stupid unfair. So I could see it being something they go to at times, but for the most part, I think it would make a little more sense to have them be the 2 players that alternate kind of at the top of that press. And
you want to stagger them.
I think that makes a lot of sense, maybe until you get to that fourth quarter and you really need to start ramping up the defense type of deal.
Well, that's interesting because then you're not benching Talaysia Cooper. Like, she's going to start. She might be your best player in 25-26. So she's in that first unit. So that means Boyd might be a sneaky first guard off the bench type deal. And it might be Paldo. Do you go with the true 5-star freshman there?
Which I think is fine, but also at the same time, I think there's going to be a lot of games where the starting lineup looks like Talaysia Cooper, Ruby Whitehorn, Nia Robertson, Janiah Barker, Z Spearman, let's say. And maybe 3 of those stay on the floor and 2 rotate out after 30 seconds. So, like I said, you only look so far into, like, yeah, Kania Boyd's coming off the bench because next game she could start. And, you know, maybe she's staying on the floor in 30 seconds. Maybe she's come off in 30 seconds. It really only matters so much. And the players know that too. The players don't get, obviously you like to start. It's a good, like, you know, reward, I guess, to be like, I was a starting point guard on the team, but it's not the end of the world at the end of the day when you're all playing pretty much the same minutes.
Yeah, I think it's going to be fascinating because this is just, there's so many different ways Kim can go, right? This is a good problem to have, is it's kind of similar to Rick Barnes, and you just have so many options. And it's kind of funny too, when you think about it, the one where you have the dash for the Lady Vols is where you probably have a dash for the men's side of things, right? Where you have Aton Berg, you have Amari Abram, you have Bishop Boswell, you have Amari Evans. You have a lot of different dudes, maybe Troy Henderson too, as an off guard. Like, we don't really know what he's going to be off the ball, but there's a whole heck of a lot of options at the 2 for Tennessee. You just don't know how Rick Barnes is going to play that. So I think there are some interesting similarities between the two teams.
I think, yeah, and the similarity comes down to as well, like, you know, one of the players is going to step, you know, whether it's Eton Berg, whether it's Clarence Masamba, whether it's Bishop Boswell, Troy, like, you know, one of those guys is going to play a role this year. It's just kind of tough to tell right now who it's going to be. I think the Lady Vols are in a similar boat in terms of, like, you mentioned.
I even say Masamba. And I'm a big Masamba guy, and because he's not here yet. He's out of sight, out of mind.
Yeah, you just don't know exactly what you're going to get from him at this point. And for the Lady Vols, you mentioned Cora's, projected lineups, and she has some of those slashes. Like, that's one of those situations too, where for like Denia Pearl and Jada Civil, 2 true freshmen, McDonald's All-Americans, they're going to have fantastic careers. Can't play everyone on the roster though. But you assume at least one of them is going to be pretty good as a true freshman and cement that role. It's just tough to say right now who it's going to be, and that could be something too. I think it's very fair to expect both of them to get plenty of play time in the out-of-conference slate, which is not an easy out-of-conference slate. So maybe that timeline's hurried up a little bit more this year than it was a year ago. But still, you looked at what Kim did a year ago. She really emptied the bench in those out-of-conference games and gave everyone, not a shot, but I guess a shot to see what you bring to the table. And then you start to narrow it down as things go on. I think that'll be a similar situation where you get the Jada Civils and Denia Pearls. You try to see what you have in some of the transfers and some of the true freshmen, and then those cuts start to be made as the season progresses to kind of probably have it about 10 or 11. I don't think you really want to go much past 11 though.
And we have no idea what the Ruby Whitehorn future looks like here over the next couple of days, right? Like, that's kind of a question mark now.
Yeah,
I don't know.
It is. We'll see exactly what transpires there. It's tough to speculate on stuff like that. You kind of just have to sit back and see what ends up happening. But it certainly does add maybe a wrinkle into things. I guess
a long way to go until the start of the season.
A long way for the season to actually begin, I think, is if you're just looking from the Lady Vol side of things. Like, okay, you got plenty of time to adapt, adjust, figure out for whatever ends up happening.
All right, Knoxville. Well, the chase has come to a close here on a Tuesday afternoon. Thank you to Ryan Sylvia of Rocky Top Insider. Thank you to Garrett Armbrust.